test.
Yes.
So there is one row of tables, 6 tables, the top 6 tables. How many Delver decks do you think there were?
How six? The first 12 players.
So the top 12 players, yeah.
6.
There was 1, and we saw it on stream.
Okay, great.
And
to be honest,
the next was on table 9 or 10, I think.
To be honest, I think it's normal. I mean, on a metagame with a lot of combo decks, Delver will shine. On a metagame, an old metagame, that is the metagame that you find in a tournament, live tournament, Delver will shine less. I mean, the more decks like the aficionado of lands, the aficionado of mono white, and not new generation combo decks will be there, it's less effective.
Yes.
I mean, it's better at hating those kind of decks.
I do, however, still stand by my initial presumption that there will be roughly 3 Delver decks in the top 8, just because very good players are piloting them. And Delver is very resilient. They might drop a match to burn in round 1, right? But they can still catch up, and this was only round 4, so there's still a lot of magic to be played.
This is round 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Then yes, it is. There are still 3 rounds. I mean, it's close. I think 2 or 3 Delver is a good possibility, and I agree with you. A lot of good players that don't play a lot of Legacy will play Delver if they have the cards.
Yeah, but those are not going to be on the first few tables after round 5, typically.
Why?
Well, you said they're not good players, so...
No, good players that don't play...
good players that don't play
Legacy.
I misunderstood.
Good players that don't play a lot of Legacy.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, why?
Alright, we just got the deck lists for our feature match. It's Henning... I can't read this name. Henning something. Maybe. And Ferdinand. And they are playing... Ferdinand is playing Aluren. That's amazing.
Okay, it's Aluren against Death and Taxes.
So, I want you just shortly to tell me about this Death and Taxes, but I really want to talk about the Aluren deck.
The Death and Taxes deck is really the obvious list without Yorion.
Just the 60 card, old school Death and Taxes.
The old school, really old school deck.
Alright, and on the other side of the table, on the left, we have Aluren, which is a 4-mana green enchantment that allows each player to cast creature spells that cost 3 or less for free and at instant speed. So it's a symmetric effect, but they typically win on the same turn they resolve this enchantment, thanks to cards, specifically creature cards, that allow them to play a combo or just draw a bunch of cards. And in this specific deck, we have Icefang Kotal 4-off, which obviously draws a card. We have Arrow, which draws a card. Baleful Strix draws a card. And we have Endurance for the toolbox. And I don't see any win condition in the main deck, but he does play Living Wish to access the sideboard.
No. It has the win condition.
Acererak the Archlich is the win condition, and we'll show you what the card does in just a minute.
Yeah, that's a new edition of Adventure of Forgotten Realms. You can go into the... When it comes into play, if you haven't completed the Tomb of Annihilation, return it to your hand, and you venture in the dungeon. This way, what it does is just you play it, and you always go in the dungeon, and you go into the dungeon where your opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
So it's just an 1 card combo basically.
Exactly.
Aluren.
If you have Aluren in this, you just win.
Alright then, cool. So what do you think about this matchup? What are the important cards? What do we need to look out for? Starting with the D&T player.
It's really. I think the most important card for the Death and Tax deck is Talia. I think. And it has the opportunity to he has 1 Solitude and 4 Water Closures to remove Azrak. But at the same time, I don't know if he is playing. No, he's not playing like Strix or anything else. This way, it's just a control deck that closes with Aluren. It's like really concentrate on just making the control deck with Icefang and so on, and close with Aluren. A two-card combo deck.
Yes, I agree. But apart from the Archlich, every single creature
draws cards.
Is a card that matters, which is good on its own, right? It's just the Aluren is just something on top of it.
To be honest,
like
in this
another
deck,
angle
Aluren
of attack. But it can perfectly play fine without Aluren in any matchup.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just the 2 cards are in the shell and they work great together, but it's not a. I don't see it as an Aluren deck, a full Aluren deck. I mean, it's strange. I mean, it is an Aluren deck because you can play all your drops and draw a card from them. That's great. But at the same time, it's not sure that you will close the game on the turn that you played. Because he's not playing Strix. He's playing a lot of creatures that draw a card. But the combo is there, but you can play also without the combo with this deck.
Yeah. And we are seeing already an amazing creature coming from the sideboard, thanks to Living Wish, in Plague Engineer. Obviously for humans, or at least that's what I'm presuming, because it can very effectively deal with Mother and future Talias that might make his life miserable in the future.
I really like Aluren also.
It's a really cool deck.
Yes.
However, I actually have played this matchup, and it is really difficult to play for the Aluren player, because the Death and Taxes does actually have a decent amount of creatures. He can also play with Aluren for free, and most specifically, he does play a creature that can find specific solutions.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful timing your win condition, or you might consider not playing Aluren at all, but even if you draw it.
You cannot play creature as an instant, right?
Aluren specifically says all creatures have flash.
A flash. Okay. I didn't remember.
You need to be really careful.
It's a lot of years.
And sometimes you play Aluren and then you wait for the opponent to get impatient and play his card first, and then you're responding.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Instantly.
I agree with you. Also because there is Skyclave Operation.
Yeah.
And
that's a really good solution, for example. Exactly.
Also to Aluren directly.
It seems like Ferdi is not giving the time to play a slow control-ish game, because the Stoneforge Mythic is representing quite a bit of damage each turn. Talia is dead immediately. Oink.
I feel like Ferdi has a really bad hand. Because he played his Asarak to wake 1 step into the...
Yeah, that was surprising to me as well. I think he just had nothing else meaningful to do.
Probably he has a lot of Aluren in his hand.
Maybe sometimes you just have to enter in these dungeons, man.
Yeah, just to try to see what happens.
Going on an adventure. It seems to me like he doesn't have a solution for the equipment in the main deck. He does, however, play Abrupt Decay, which can deal with the token, right? I don't know all the words from Caldra, but I think it only gives indestructible to itself, not the token, right?
No, also the token.
The token is indestructible as well? Yes. So I don't see a solution for the token here then.
Let's see. I'm not sure about what I'm saying. I'm probably wrong.
So let's see the text from Caldera.
Yeah, it's indestructible.
First act, trample, indestructible, haste. So I don't see any solution in the deck. Not even in the sideboard. So he needs to win through the combo, like, now.
It's really strange for me that he didn't talk the land with the living wish.
Which land?
He has a Caracas. The only land he can take. Because he has just one.
But the Caracas doesn't do anything.
It's mana. It's a mana. If you hit the green mana, he has the mana for playing for.
But he needs to find the green anyway.
Sure.
So Caracas.
Yes, but if Talia comes into play, then you have a solution to Talia, and you can get the green mana. And depending on what happens, it can also be.
Talia is a 1-0 though at the moment.
Oh, oh, he played one. Okay,
yeah.
That was okay. Wait. No, it was like I didn't know how Talia died, but he played it into the.
He played it into the Plague Engineer.
Okay.
So Henning is obviously familiar with the matchup, and he's named the Harpy. The correct name is Cavern Harpy, I think.
No, for me, it's pretty funny that you said that he's pretty familiar with the matchup after he played Talia into Plague Engineer.
Yeah, I mean that is just that doesn't have to do anything with the matchup. That was just, you know, sometimes you're just nervous.
I understand it. It's just
the
moment.
Interestingly, he named Kevin Harpy, which obviously he doesn't know, but we know that it's not even in the deck.
But he has not a lot of things that he can say, I think.
He could have named a land.
A fetch land, I think. Yeah.
Or is it non-land?
Oh, he is playing also end runs. No.
Is it non-land or non-mana ability? The Revoker.
The Revoker is a non-mana ability.
Okay.
Or maybe non-land. That's
Professional casting teams. Let's look up all the cards.
And like, I prefer to not say bullshit. You know, that's it's 1-0 for Henning.
All right.
Non-land card also. It's not
name a non-land card. Okay, so you could not have named the fetch land.
There was nothing that he could have.
Yeah.
It's the correct.
A reasonable choice.
Yeah, exactly.
I think.
It's a correct choice.
So what do you think? So we know the Alluran deck does have many cards in the sideboard that he wants to tutor up with Living Wish. So I don't think he's going to sideboard a ton. Judging from the way his sideboard looks, he has mostly cards against the combo matchup, so he does bring in some amount of counter magic and Veil of Summer. But I don't see any cards specifically good in this matchup, except for Collector Oof, which he does have 2 of, and he definitely wants to leave 1 in the sideboard, but he might put the other one in the main deck. But apart from that, I don't think we're going to see any changes from the Alluran deck.
I think here Containment Priest is pretty good.
Is it?
It is not really good? I think so. No?
Alluran is
I'm wrong.
cast.
Okay. And then no. And for the rest, he has... I don't know if he wants to play Solitude again. Canonist could be an option if it is cast.
Canonist is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially because you get to...
It's cast.
Creature solutions typically are much better against Alluran because you can cost them for free if he tries to go off. But I think the main deck is already reasonably well equipped with the Skyclave Apparition.
It's not so easy. That's the sideboard.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any significant changes from either player, to be honest. So it's just main deck versus main deck again.
Yeah. You're right that there are a lot of problems for Allure in this matchup.
Yeah, it's a really difficult matchup, actually.
And I think this is also worse. I mean, if you think at the list with Harpy, if Harpy was really good in something like that, in a flashy creature matchup, because you can pay 1 life and get it back and be always a trouble. Because he can answer, but you can also answer them. And it's still there.
Yeah.
I think Harpy was pretty decent in this kind of situation. And like this with the Flicker Wisp and the Skyclave apparition, it could be a lot of troubles.
Mm. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the match, Talia is also a huge issue for the deck. You would think Talia doesn't do much because the combo is based around creatures and there's a lot of good creatures you play. But you still really rely on these brainstorms, ponders,
And also
getting to
Allure.
5 mana to cast Allure through Wasteland and Rishadan Port is
not easy at
not
all.
easy at all. So I'm not surprised that the Death and Texas player is up 1-0, but it's Allure. I mean, matchup can go either way. So we see a non-basic land from the Alluran player, opting to ponder and fix his starting hand.
It's really kind of strange not seeing Cavern RP in this deck. I think it's strange.
Yeah, I agree. Or at least as a one-off in the sideboard, right?
Yeah, at least.
I mean, just Harpy and Arrow draws your deck.
Exactly.
I love Harpy. I think it's such a cool card, cool design, even without Alluran.
Yeah, it's strange to me. I played the old list, with Magic Online for a few times, with the Cavern RP and so on of Alluran. It was like 5 years ago, something like that. And it was really fun to play. I feel like it's strange that RP was so good also in some kind of strange situation where you just make value. And,
and you, if the creatures don't have trample, you can block forever, like a Marid Lage token. You just block it.
Yeah, I think also now I would still play like at least 2 Harpy in the main deck. A Harpy in the main deck.
So Ferdi, possibly influenced by the last game, is opting to play the control role in this game. And he's buying time by forcing the Stoneforge Mystic. And we don't see an Aether Vial from the Death and Texas player.
That's always a good thing for their opponent.
Yeah. Does make the control plan way easier. So, judging by Henning's play, it seems like he kept a kind of a weak hand because Recruiter is not really a threat. And if he had good cards, he would probably play those instead of the Recruiter. Because Recruiter is a very good way to deal with the combo, right? You just can keep it in your hand, and it's basically a free
tutor for everything that you
a free removal for the Alluran. But he opted to play it for an turn 5 Stoneforge Mystic. which is odd to me. So it might be that his hand is already stacked with, you know, Skyclave Apparition, maybe
Stuff.
another Recruiter.
What is that card?
Let's have a peek into his hand, maybe.
What?
I believe that is the card that allows
Oh,
you
it's
to
silence.
cast only one non-creature
Yes,
spell each turn,
yes,
right?
yes, sure.
Deafening Silence, maybe? Which doesn't do anything against the combo, but it's, it's still reasonably fine against the cantrips.
I think it's really bad, to be honest. In this matchup, I can say something, but it's if it is what I think, it's not
Henning
so good.
opting to find a Chitte. Does
Okay,
that mean
that's
he has
one
Cauldron already in
non-creature.
hand? Because Chitte does almost nothing in this matchup, right? He can kill the Ice Fang
Asarak,
Kotal,
or
but that's it.
also the Asarak. Just 5 tokens. Easy.
I mean, Caldera has won the game twice before you can kill the Archlich. But obviously, we don't have perfect information. We don't know anything. We can't see all the cards in Henning's hand properly. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. But it's still a surprising play to me. And there we see the Deafening Silence actually on the battlefield.
I really think Henning thinks that it is just one spell per turn, one creature per turn. Because I really cannot understand why you should bring in that card.
Maybe he thinks it's the Shardless Agent version, which usually typically kills through Living Wish.
Yes, but
so you can't cast Alluran and go Shardless Agent into Living Wish on the same turn. Okay. But it still does almost nothing because you can still kill him in upkeep.
Yes.
I don't know.
Me neither. Oh, is this Force of Vigor?
I believe it is. I think his hand is Force of Vigor, Alluran, and Force of Will. I really hope Henning kept a Recruiter or Skyclave Apparition. Otherwise, Alluran might actually win the game. Right here on the spot. And I think...
needs to have a really good draw. Needs an Asarak or something.
Oh, he doesn't have a creature,
no,
right?
He has 0 creatures.
That is very unfortunate.
And playing Alluran like this feels crazy to me. This way.
Feels like a very bad idea. Henning opting not to keep the port open, so he's not afraid of the Alluran, apparently. Instead, he goes for his Stoneforge Mystic. Get to see the Cauldron now. Yes. What do you think he has that costs 2 mana and is better than Rishatten Port on a green source? Oh, he does have another port. Never mind.
That's my answer. That's my final answer.
Okay. 5 points to you.
Thanks. I will keep them. Oh. Solitude and Sword Blushers is his hand. This way. It's strange to me. I mean, I feel like in this game, Henning did exactly nothing, in my opinion. I mean, he did some mistakes, but he was really slow. He never had to tap a land. He was, but Ferdi had until now nothing. I mean,
He still doesn't.
yeah,
He has a 4-turn clock now and 1 Swords to Plowshares.
sure, but Ferdi has one allure in his hand. He has 3 cards in his hand. And what? What is happening? Wait. Really? He can still draw 1 card.
So
He forgot 1 card? Yes, he forgot 1 card.
Yeah.
He could draw 3 cards this turn. I think the tap plan was a little bit crazy, to be honest. I understand it, but if your opponent didn't kill you on the 2 turns before with a Lauren, I don't, and you have a Sword of Blossom and Solitude in your hand.
Yeah, I agree. I know it seems like Alluren is the only thing that can get him back into the game, and you want to deny that possibility, but with gifting him 2 cards each turn, you're basically
the problem is
giving him the cards he doesn't have. Right?
He doesn't need just Alluren. He needs creatures, Alluren, and with Solitude and Sword of Blossom in his hand, he needs more creatures. It's not just 1 creature.
I think Henning is too impatient here.
This Sword of Blossom had to be played the turn before. That's
if
why.
If you're going to sort the Leo Walls, exactly. You have to do it beforehand.
No, the meaning is he had already the sword. He chose to tap 2 creatures and not use the sword, and made Ferdi draw 2 cards, and then now he chose to sword it.
All right, we have some Henning fanboys in the chat. He is close, very close. But I think he allowed Ferdi a chance to actually win this game without needing to.
I agree.
Even the Recruiter, I still believe, would have been better in hand. I know he has Cauldron. He eventually needs to represent the clock, but I mean, if you're not allowing your opponent to win through Alluren, you're not losing. Force of Vigor, interesting. So he does give himself a chance to play more spells.
I really like the fact that he pointed out at the silence, but he didn't want to. It felt like, I take like, also this one, but it's not like it does something.
I don't have anything else to do, so I take the 2 cards that don't do anything.
I felt it was a situation like this.
I mean, it could end up mattering. So if he has Alluren and he doesn't win on the spot, maybe he has like an arrow and he does have to play Brainstorm.
I totally agree.
It can absolutely matter, but
I'm not saying the card does totally nothing. I'm saying the card is not really good in this matchup.
I know.
I always say that Magic is designed that all the cards in Magic have some utility. All the card, all the. If you think of the card, you say it's the worst card ever. There is a spot where it can be useful. This is
Goblin Snowman, though.
What is the Goblin Snowman? They always say one with nothing, and there are utilities in
Yeah,
one with
one with
nothing.
nothing is yeah. No, Goblin Snowman is a 4-mana 1/1
Yes, for a
that can
3
tap
colorless
and do
red.
something to an attacking creature, maybe 1
Yes,
damage or
but
something.
it's a 1/1 already. It can aggro snowman. You know when it is winter and
No, the only use for Goblin Snowman is it looks cool. It's a
it,
Goblin Snowman.
I know the
alright?
picture. Yeah, I like it.
So we see. Wait, is that arrow without? That's not going to be enough. It puts him at 6, but there is 7 damage on the table already. I don't agree with Ferdi not playing Aluren and then the Euro. Or did we miss something?
And just
I
losing.
don't think so.
You say it's not a great plan. I agree with you.
This has been a very confusing match to me.
It's 2-0 for Henning with a smashing victory on Aluren. To be honest, I'm not sure how the players played, but I think like tapping the two lands with Leovold into play was crazy, in my opinion. And he had also the Sword of Treasures in his hand as well.
Yeah.
It is more
Leovold
crazy.
is not the card you want to sword.
Yeah, but
I don't think playing Recruiter was...
I think playing Recruiter makes a little bit of sense if you don't have anything else that makes pressure. Because you have Sword and you have Solitude in your hand, and you say, okay, if I put some pressures into play, I can get there. If you do nothing against a blue deck in general, he will have a lot of ways to manipulate his deck and get to the place he wants to go.
That's true, yeah.
The fact is, I really think he could go Sword of Brochures and then tap the 2 lands, or also just remove Sword of Brochures, take down the, because tapping the lands without making him draw would have been great, because the information that he has no lands,
obviously, and
he has to draw the creatures and he has to draw lands. If he has to draw 15 cards in one draw step, it's really hard.
Tapping the lands was definitely a good idea. He just gifted him 2 cards unnecessarily along the way. Yeah.
Oh, it was a green Sun Zenith for Uro. I didn't see that.
Yes. All right. So I think we might have a second feature match in the pipeline.
It's possible. It depends if they ended or not.
This was quite a short game.
Yes,
short
I agree.
match. And we will be back with the second game as soon as we have the table set up.
Yes.
See you guys in a minute.